Rebecca Stone stood at her office window, 5th floor, watching the basement security feed on her tablet. Friday night, 6:47, everyone gone except the cleaning crew. On screen, a janitor worked beneath flickering fluorescents in server room B2, but his hands moved wrong. Not the broad sweeps of someone mopping. Precise, methodical, the way engineers route cable. She zoomed in. The man wore standard issue Meridian janitorial blues, name tag too small to read from this angle, but something in his posture, the careful way he examined a server rack connection, triggered recognition she couldn't place. He looked up at the camera. Their eyes met through pixels and distance. Rebecca's breath caught. She knew that face, had seen it before. Somewhere in the hundreds of employee files she'd reviewed since becoming CEO 8 months ago. She pulled up the security archive, typed commands, scrolled through 6 years of footage, found him mopping the executive hallway, emptying trash in conference rooms, cleaning bathrooms engineers used. Always there, always invisible. 847 times she'd walked past him without seeing. The personnel database loaded slowly. Janitorial staff, basement assignment, hired September 2019. Name, Marcus Thompson. The name detonated in her memory. She ran to her file cabinet, hands shaking, pulled the folder she'd been avoiding for 8 months. Her brother's personnel records. Found the mentor assignment form from 2018. Andrew Stone, Junior Systems Engineer, reporting to Senior Engineer Marcus Thompson. Rebecca pulled Marcus's termination letter next. The date, 3 days after Andrew's funeral. Reason, gross negligence in safety protocols. Escorted from premises, 0 severance, flagged non-rehire. Then the security record, Marcus Thompson, rehired janitorial position, 2 weeks after termination. Her brother's mentor had been cleaning toilets in this building for 6 years, and she'd never known. 4 years earlier, Marcus Thompson had been someone different. Senior systems engineer, corner office, team of 12, designing satellite communication protocols that put Meridian on the aerospace map. Andrew Stone was his protege, 26 years old, brilliant, asking questions that made everyone else look lazy. The Atlas integration project consumed them that spring. Chun Corporation contract, enterprise clients, make or break deadline. Marcus sent the email to management on a Tuesday. Subject line, warning in capitals. My team is running 78-hour weeks for 6 consecutive cycles. This is unsafe. I'm requesting deadline extension or additional resources. Engineers make fatal mistakes when exhausted. Response from Gerald Hutchins, board member overseeing the project. Extension denied. Client expectations non-negotiable. Your team knew the commitment level required. Proceed as scheduled. Marcus replied immediately, copying HR, legal, his own manager. Understood. I want it documented that I believe this timeline is dangerous and I'm implementing it under formal protest. 2 days later, Andrew volunteered for the overnight server integration shift. Someone had called in sick, kid with flu, and they needed coverage. As Marcus asked 3 times if Andrew was certain, offered to take the shift himself. Andrew insisted. Fresh, energetic, confident he could handle it. He worked 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., fixed every issue perfectly, left detailed documentation, sent Marcus an email at 6:15. All clear. System stable. Heading home to crash for 12 hours. See you Monday. At 6:30, Andrew got in his car and drove toward the interstate. Fell asleep at the wheel on the I-5 overpass near Mercer Street. His vehicle drifted right, hit the barrier, went through, dropped 30 feet onto the access road below. The hospital called Marcus at 7:15. He was Andrew's emergency work contact for the project. They used careful language, deceased, massive trauma, identification needed, next of kin notification required. Marcus drove there in shock, still wearing his employee badge, answered questions in a voice that didn't sound like his own, gave them Rebecca's name and number from Andrew's contact sheet, sat in the hallway while they made the call, listening to them tell someone's sister that her baby brother was gone. Rebecca arrived running, screaming, collapsing when the doctor confirmed what the phone call had implied. Marcus stood against the wall, watching her grief, carrying his own guilt like a stone in his chest. Before hospital staff asked him to leave for family privacy, Rebecca looked at him through tears. Her voice came out broken. "Did you work with Andrew?" Marcus nodded. "Was he happy?" The question gutted him. Yes, he loved his job. He was brilliant. He made a difference. Because what else could he say? That he'd let Andrew work until exhaustion killed him? That he'd valued a deadline over a life? 3 days later, HR called Marcus in. Catherine Harrington, Director of Human Resources, sat across from him with a file folder and a lawyer. "Mr. Thompson, we've completed our investigation into the incident involving Andrew Stone. Your approval of his overtime schedule constitutes gross negligence in your supervisory responsibilities. We're terminating your employment effective immediately." Marcus had already written his resignation letter, taking full responsibility, asking to be removed from management. Catherine rejected it. Termination for cause is more appropriate given the pattern of poor judgment. You'll be escorted from the premises. No severance. And you're flagged as ineligible for rehire. Security walked him out that afternoon. 6 years of work, gone. Career destroyed. Andrew dead. Wife Keisha dying of cancer in their bedroom at home. Daughter Maya, 4 years old, asking why Daddy looked so sad. 2 weeks later, Keisha passed. Marcus buried her on a Tuesday, woke up Wednesday with $847 rent due and $93 in his bank account. The Meridian janitorial job posting appeared on Friday. Night shift, basement level, $16 per hour. They didn't background check the name. Some algorithm flagged him as former employee, but the system auto-approved because janitorial had different HR protocols. Marcus took it. Showed up Monday in borrowed uniform, started mopping floors in the building he'd helped design. 6 years of invisible penance. 6 years of watching engineers he'd trained walk past without recognition. 6 years of cleaning executive bathrooms while carrying 15 patents in satellite communications in his head. The Friday Rebecca watched him on camera, Marcus emptied trash near the main lobby reception. A junior engineer, white, maybe 24, rushed past carrying coffee and a damaged keycard. "Hey, janitor, this spilled on my access card and now it won't scan. I need the server room right now." Marcus glanced at the card. Water damage, RFID chip, visible through the plastic crack. "The chip's corrupted. You'll need IT to issue a replacement. 3rd floor help desk." The engineer stared. "How would you even know that?" Catherine Harrington materialized from the elevator bank, her timing perfect, her smile sharp. "Mr. Thompson, please don't bother our engineers with technical speculation. I'm sure IT can handle their own issues." Her emphasis on technical carried weight, implication, dismissal. Some people don't understand their place. Marcus returned to his mop bucket without a word. The engineer looked between them, confused, then rushed off. 2 hours later, network alarms screamed through the building. The entire production environment crashed. $15,000 per minute in losses. IT staff sprinted through hallways, panic written on their faces. Marcus mopped outside the server room, listening to them shout. Nothing makes sense. Every diagnostic says we're fine, but the system's completely unresponsive. He glanced through the doorway, saw error codes on the central monitor. He recognized the pattern instantly. Legacy Atlas platform architecture, the code he'd written 8 years ago. Subnet conflict with new load balancer firmware. The IT lead, 35, already going gray from stress, noticed Marcus in the doorway. "You got something to say, janitor?" Marcus hesitated. Then, check subnet 192.168.47.0. Router firmware rollback issue. Your new load balancer's conflicting with legacy protocols. The room went silent. The lead stared, typed commands, watched his screen. His face changed. "That's exactly right. How did you possibly—" "Lucky guess." Catherine appeared in the doorway, her voice ice. "Mr. Thompson, the executive bathrooms need attention." But the IT lead had already seen something. "Wait, you said legacy protocols. The Atlas platform. That's 8-year-old code nobody understands anymore." His eyes widened. "You're Marcus Thompson. You built this system." Marcus picked up his mop. "I clean it now." After he left, the IT lead turned to his team. "That janitor just saved us 4 hours of downtime in 4 minutes. Something's very wrong here." Rosa Martinez, head of facilities, had been watching from the hallway. She filed the moment in memory, adding it to 6 years of observations. That night, she went home and pulled boxes from her basement, files she'd saved when HR ordered them shredded. Insurance, she called it. Witness bearing. Marcus sat at his kitchen table past midnight, daughter asleep in her room, searching on his dying laptop. Started with Andrew's obituary, followed links, found other names. Jamal Harris, black, controls engineer, or terminated 2023 after lab fire. The fire he'd warned about in 6 documented emails. Lisa Okonkwo, black, project manager, fired 2021 following client complaint. Investigation showed the client was racist. Lisa had defended her team. Darius Chen, Asian software developer, let go after server crash using the exact patch Marcus had recommended, the one management had blocked. The list grew. Marcus created a simple spreadsheet, his engineering brain finding patterns in the chaos. 73 people terminated post-incident over 6 years. 68 were people of color, 93%. White engineers in identical situations, transferred, retrained, promoted. 0 firings. He cross-referenced dates, departments, managers. Found Catherine Harrington's signature on 61 of the termination letters. Found board member Gerald Hutchins approving the decisions. This wasn't accident. This was architecture. Marcus's hands trembled on the keyboard. He looked at Maya's school photo on the fridge. $847 rent notice beside it. His dead wife's picture on the shelf. Keisha's smile saying what he already knew. Some fights matter more than safety. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Text message. "I know what happened to you. We need to talk." Rosa Martinez, facilities. Across town, Rebecca sat in her office with Marcus's personnel file open. Read his warning emails. Read his resignation letter. Read Andrew's final performance review praising the mentor who taught him everything. She pulled security footage timestamps, counted 847 times in 8 months she'd walked past Marcus without seeing him. Her brother's mentor, blamed for trying to save him, destroyed, then humiliated for 6 years while everyone looked away. Rebecca typed into the security search, Marcus Thompson, current employment status. Result, active janitorial services, basement B2. She stared at the screen until the words blurred, reached for her phone, stopped, started again. Tomorrow, she thought. Tomorrow I find out what we did to you. What I let them do while I wasn't looking. But she didn't know what Rosa had saved. Didn't know Marcus had found the pattern. Didn't know that tomorrow would be too late to control the reckoning that was already building in basement archives and kitchen table spreadsheets, and 6 years of silent documentation. The building hummed around them. Marcus in his apartment, evidence mounting. Rebecca in her office, guilt crystallizing. Rosa in her basement, boxes of truth waiting. The clock moved toward morning, toward confrontation, toward 73 names demanding resurrection. Maya's classroom emptied in the usual chaos of pickup time, parents arriving in clean cars, fathers in tech company hoodies. Marcus waited by the side fence, not the main entrance, because his daughter had asked him to 3 days ago. She hadn't explained why. She emerged last, scanning the crowd, shoulders tight when she spotted his janitor uniform visible beneath his jacket. Walked over slowly, backpack dragging on pavement. "Can we just go?" Marcus felt the shame in her voice like a physical blow. "What happened, baby?" "Nothing. Just Trey's dad works at Google, and he looked you up on LinkedIn and told everyone you're a janitor now." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "I said you used to be an engineer, but nobody believed me." 8 years old and already learning that the world measures worth in job titles and LinkedIn profiles. Marcus knelt on the wet concrete, eye level with his daughter. "The work I do now puts food on our table and keeps a roof over your head. That's honest, Maya. That's survival. But why can't you just be an engineer again?" Her eyes filled with tears. "You have all the books. You still know everything. Because they took that from me along with everything else. Because I'm fighting my way back and it's slow and you're too young to understand that resurrection takes time. Sometimes the world breaks things that shouldn't be broken. I'm working on fixing it. I promise." The grocery store on Madison was quiet at 4 p.m., aisles mostly empty. Marcus pushed the cart while Maya walked beside him with her phone calculator, adding prices, keeping them under $70. They'd done this dance for 6 years, poverty math learned too young. The security guard appeared near the dairy section. White, mid-50s, hand resting on his radio like a threat. "Sir, need to see what's in your bag." Marcus hadn't put anything in his bag. It hung empty on the cart handle. The guard knew this. Performance of suspicion, theater of control. "We haven't finished shopping." The guard's eyes traveled from Marcus's face to Maya's worn sneakers to the calculator in her small hands. "Just routine. We've had problems with shoplifting." Not routine. Racial profiling in broad daylight with his daughter watching. Maya's hand found his, squeezed tight, fear and confusion mixing in her grip. Marcus's voice came out level, controlled, carved from 6 years of swallowing rage for survival. "We will finish shopping, pay for our items, and leave. You will not follow my daughter." Something in his tone made the guard step back. But the damage was done. Maya had watched her father treated like a criminal for existing while black in a grocery store. Another lesson in the curriculum of systemic dehumanization. That night, Catherine Harrington sat in her office reviewing the memo she'd send to board members Monday morning. The language was careful, legally vetted, designed to sound like risk management rather than discrimination. Recent patterns indicate increased employee complaints regarding workplace conduct and safety protocols. To minimize institutional liability and maintain operational efficiency, we recommend swift personnel actions in post-incident situations. Focus on expendable positions where termination creates minimal disruption to critical functions. Senior management and key technical staff should be protected through alternative remediation strategies. Expendable, the word carried 30 years of practice. She'd learned from Gerald Hutchins how to document discrimination without saying it outright, how to build architecture of injustice that looked like business strategy. She printed the memo, filed it in the board packet, and went home to sleep like someone whose conscience had been outsourced to legal departments and shareholder value. Rosa Martinez opened her basement door Saturday morning when Marcus arrived. She'd been facilities manager for 19 years. He had watched patterns the executives thought nobody noticed. The boxes lined her basement wall, 12 of them, labeled by year. Every time HR orders files destroyed, I save copies. Call it insurance. Call it documentation. Call it someone needing to remember. She pulled Andrew Stone's termination file first. Marcus's hands trembled taking it. His resignation letter was there, the one Catherine had rejected. His warning emails about unsafe schedules. And underneath, Catherine's internal assessment. Thompson's termination for cause more appropriate than resignation. Establishes precedent for future post-incident actions. Recommends zero severance, immediate removal, flag non-rehire. Future post-incident actions. They'd used Andrew's death as template for 6 more years of systematic targeting. Marcus opened the next folder. Jamal Harris, black engineer, fired in 2023 after a lab fire he'd predicted in writing 6 times. The email trail was damning. Jamal's warnings, management's dismissals, then the fire, then termination 48 hours later for creating hostile work environment through alarmist communication. Rosa handed him a USB drive. Jamal kept copies. He's willing to testify. I got his number. The coffee shop meeting happened 3 days later. Jamal was 32, worked at Amazon now, carried caution in his eyes like scar tissue. They paid me $50,000 and an NDA to disappear. He slid the drive across the table. Wiring inspection reports, my analysis, management responses refusing to act, all of it. The NDA doesn't cover federal investigations. I've been waiting for someone to ask. Marcus met 5 more over 2 weeks. Talisa Okonkwo, terminated for defending her team against a racist client. Darius Chen, fired for using the security patch Marcus had designed, the one management had blocked. Each one carrying evidence. Each one damaged but willing to fight. Late nights, Marcus researched in the public law library while Maya slept at Rosa's house. Title VII Discrimination Patterns. 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 Civil Rights Violations. EEOC Procedures. His engineering mind mapped legal frameworks like system architectures, finding load-bearing structures, identifying failure points. He photographed documents after his janitorial shifts, using access nobody monitored. Found Catherine meeting with lawyers at midnight, shredding files. Found board minutes from 2019 where Gerald Hutchins described Andrew's death as situation resolved, yet liability contained. Found Andrew's email drafts backed up on the old server, the message Andrew never sent to Rebecca. Becca, Marcus is the best mentor I've ever had. Management's pushing dangerous hours. He tried to stop them. If something happens, know it wasn't his fault. Love you always. A. Marcus sat in his car in the parking garage, staring at those words until vision blurred. Andrew had known, had protected him even in death, had left breadcrumbs for someone to find. The production network crashed on a Tuesday, 3 weeks into evidence collection. Alarms screaming, IT staff panicking, 15,000 per minute bleeding out. Marcus mopped the executive floor, listening to them shout about unfindable problems. A young engineer appeared in the hallway, South Asian woman, 26, near tears. We're going to lose everything. Critical deployment in 2 hours, and the whole system's down. Marcus glanced past her at the server room screens, saw the error cascade, recognized it instantly. Atlas Platform Legacy Code, the infrastructure he designed a decade ago. Your deployment script has a dependency timeout error, line 847 in the integration module. Change the timeout from 30 seconds to 60. Should resolve the cascade. She stared. That's incredibly specific. How could you possibly know that? I wrote that platform. Her face changed, recognition dawning. You're Marcus Thompson. Your name's still in the documentation. You're a legend. Then confusion. Why are you working as... Because they erased me and bet I'd stay erased. The IT lead ran past, stopped, looked between them. Did he just fix the deployment issue? The young engineer nodded. In 30 seconds, something nobody else could solve. The lead studied Marcus with new eyes. If you ever need anything at all, you let me know. I mean it. 2 allies now. Small army growing. Monday morning, 7 a.m., Catherine cornered Marcus in the basement supply room. She held a folder, her movements practiced, predatory. We've received multiple complaints about your conduct, Mr. Thompson. Harassing technical staff, accessing systems without authorization, loitering in restricted areas. Marcus set down his mop, turned slowly. I've done none of those things. We have documentation. Security footage shows you in IT areas after hours. Cleaning IT areas, my assigned responsibility. Catherine leaned closer, voice dropping to intimate threat. You were given a second chance here after your incident. Don't destroy it by making accusations you can't prove. Accept the severance, sign the NDA, move on quietly. Otherwise, I personally guarantee you'll never work in this city again. Marcus stood to full height, calm, absolute, unbreakable. Is that the same threat you gave the other 72? Catherine's face went white, then scarlet. Her hand trembled on the folder. You have no evidence. No attorney will touch this. I don't need an attorney. I need 5 minutes with Rebecca Stone. You're making a catastrophic mistake. No, ma'am. You made the mistake 6 years ago when you bet I'd stay silent. I'm just correcting the historical record. He walked out. She didn't stop him. They both knew the endgame was already in motion. That evening, Rebecca sat in her office with Rosa Martinez across from her, 12 boxes of evidence spread across the conference table. Rosa had called an hour ago, voice urgent, "You need to see what I saved." The files painted 30 years of systematic destruction, not random discrimination, but engineered targeting. Policies designed to protect white executives while making people of color expendable. 3.2 million in hidden NDA settlements. 412 complaint emails deleted from servers. And the memo from 1995, Gerald Hutchins's signature at the bottom, establishing the framework they'd used ever since. Rebecca found Marcus's file at the bottom of box 7. Read his warning emails about Andrew's schedule. Read Catherine's termination memo. Read Andrew's unsent message protecting the mentor who'd tried to save him. Her hands shook, and they'd known Marcus tried to protect Andrew. They'd blamed him anyway because he was convenient and black, and they needed someone to erase. Rosa's voice was gentle. Marcus has been building a case for 3 weeks. He has 6 witnesses. He has documentation. He's coming for all of them. Where is he now? Fired this morning. Catherine moved fast when she realized he knew. Rebecca pulled out her phone, dialed the number from Marcus's personnel file. It rang 4 times. His voice came careful, guarded. Ms. Stone? Mr. Thompson, I know what they did to you. I know what you're planning. And I want to help. Silence. Then, why would the CEO help the janitor? Rebecca looked at Andrew's photo on her desk, 26 forever, gap-toothed smile frozen in time. Because my brother's last words about you were that you were the best mentor he ever had. Because I've spent the evening reading 30 years of files that make me physically ill. Because they killed Andrew and blamed you for trying to save him. She heard him breathing, weighing trust against 6 years of betrayal. What do you need from me? Everything. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., boardroom. Bring all of it. We end this together. They'll destroy you for helping me. Rebecca's reflection in the window looked back, determination hardening her features. Let them try. I'm done letting them destroy people. She hung up, drafted an email to the board. Emergency session, 9 a.m., mandatory attendance, subject line, systemic discrimination, and federal liability. Her finger hovered over send. Across the city, a Marcus laid evidence across his kitchen table. 73 files, 6 witness statements, Andrew's final message, email trails documenting institutional conspiracy, Maya's photo propped against his water glass, future engineer sleeping in the next room. Tomorrow, baby girl, tomorrow we fight for everyone they tried to erase. Catherine's phone rang at 11:30 p.m. Gerald Hutchins, panic barely controlled. Rebecca's calling an emergency board meeting. She has the files. We can still bury this. Destroy what's left. Pay off the witnesses. She has Thompson. Catherine's living room walls felt too close. We discredit him. He's a fired janitor with a grudge. Nobody will... Gerald's voice cut through her delusion like a blade. He's the senior systems engineer with 15 patents who we wrongfully terminated and then humiliated for 6 years while he documented every single thing we did. He's the worst enemy we could have created. Long silence. Catherine's 30-year career ending in real time. What do? Pray Rebecca shows mercy, because Marcus Thompson won't, and he shouldn't. 9 hours until the boardroom. 9 hours until 73 names demanded resurrection. 9 hours until truth, justice, and the systematic dismantling of everything built on silence. Marcus checked his evidence one final time, then walked to Maya's door. She slept clutching her robotics project, dreaming of circuits and solutions. He whispered into the darkness, "Tomorrow, sweetheart. Tomorrow I make sure your generation builds things without fear." Closed her door, returned to his evidence, waited for dawn. The boardroom filled at 8:58. 7 board members taking seats. Catherine rigid in her chair flanked by 3 corporate attorneys, Rebecca at the head of the table. Marcus entered last, still wearing his janitor blues, carrying 2 evidence binders. Rosa wheeled boxes through the door and positioned them against the wall like ammunition. Gerald Hutchins gestured dismissively. "Rebecca, this is highly irregular. Why is janitorial staff..." Rebecca's voice came sharp, final. "Because Marcus Thompson isn't janitorial staff. He's the senior systems engineer you illegally terminated 6 years ago, and he's about to show you exactly what you've built here." Marcus opened the first binder, and the projector lit up behind him. Slide 1. Raw numbers, impossible to dispute. 73 terminations from 2019 through 2025. Demographic breakdown showing 68 people of color, 93% of total. White engineers in comparable post-incident situations, 0 terminations, 12 promotions, 34 transfers with salary increases. A board member, woman in her 60s with silver hair, leaned forward. Statistical correlation doesn't prove... Marcus clicked to slide 2 before she finished. 4 faces filled the screen. Jamal Harris, fired for a fire he documented would happen. Lisa Okonkwo, terminated 48 hours after filing discrimination complaint. Darius Chen, let go for implementing Marcus's own security recommendation that management had previously blocked. And centered, larger, Marcus Thompson, destroyed for protesting the schedule that killed Andrew Stone. Below the faces, Andrew's email from 2 days before his death, text enlarged to fill the bottom third of the screen. Marcus warned you this schedule was unsafe. You ordered him to proceed anyway. This isn't on him. The room erupted in gasps. Catherine's face drained of color. Those communications were sealed. Marcus's eyes stayed level, voice calm as deep water. Andrew backed them up. He knew you'd try to erase the truth. He protected me even after you killed him. Slide 3. The institutional framework laid bare. Email deletion logs showing 412 complaint messages purged from servers. NDA settlement records totaling $3.2 million, buried in miscellaneous legal expenses to hide them from SEC reporting requirements. And the foundational document, 1995 internal memo, Gerald Hutchins' signature at bottom, establishing the policy they'd followed for 3 decades. The language was there for everyone to read. Post-incident personnel actions should prioritize removal of expendable staff to minimize executive liability and maintain operational continuity. Rosa stepped forward, placed her hand on the evidence boxes. Expendable defined in your own HR demographic tracking as 94% people of color over 30 years. I saved every file you tried to destroy. All of it. Gerald stood, face ashen. Where did you obtain confidential board documentation? Rebecca cut him off with ice in every word. From our own archives. The ones Catherine ordered shredded. Oh, the ones Rosa Martinez preserved because someone needed to bear witness to what you built here. Marcus walked to the screen, changed to the final slide. 73 faces. Names underneath. Lives underneath those. The human cost enumerated. Jamal Harris. Marriage destroyed. Custody lost. Lisa Okonkwo. Career shattered. Forced to relocate. Darius Chen. Hospitalized after breakdown. Marcus Thompson. 6 years mopping floors in the building his patents helped construct. His voice filled the space. Controlled. Devastating. Carrying the weight of every name on that screen. I designed the Atlas platform that runs this company's core operations. I hold 15 patents in satellite communications. I trained Andrew Stone and 47 other engineers who built your success. He turned to Catherine. You had me escorted out like a criminal for trying to save my team from your decisions. Turned to Gerald. You bet Rebecca wouldn't look. You were wrong. Faced the full board. I'm not here for revenge. Revenge is what small people do when they're powerless. I'm here for the 72 others. I'm here to build something better from what you broke. Final image, Andrew's unsent email to Rebecca, recovered from backup, displayed in full. If something happens, don't blame Marcus. He tried to save me. They wouldn't listen. I love you always. Rebecca's voice cracked, tears streaming openly. My brother knew. He knew exactly who failed him. And it wasn't Marcus. Silence. Catherine weeping into her hands. Gerald's 3 decades of institutional power crumbling to dust. The attorneys frantically taking notes. He already calculating liability exposure. Rebecca stood. Motion to terminate Catherine Harrington for cause and refer her conduct to federal prosecutors for civil rights violations. 6 hands raised. Gerald abstained, couldn't even defend her anymore. Motion to reinstate Marcus Thompson immediately with full back pay, benefits, and appointment as Vice President of Engineering Ethics. 7-0, unanimous. Motion to establish $50 million compensation fund for the 73 wrongfully terminated employees and launch the Andrew Stone Workplace Equity Initiative. Marcus's throat tightened. I don't need compensation. I need systemic change that outlasts all of us. Rebecca met his eyes across the table. You'll have both, starting right now. The next 6 months unfolded in compressed time, on justice accelerating once momentum built. News broke within hours. Major tech company exposes decades of discrimination, fires HR director, launches federal investigation. Catherine Harrington walked out in handcuffs by week 2, charged with obstruction of justice, conspiracy to violate civil rights, wire fraud, and the settlement concealment. Her cooperation bought reduced sentencing, 7 years instead of 15. The names she provided opened investigations at 6 other Seattle companies, spreading the reckoning. Gerald Hutchins announced retirement, paid $4.2 million in personal fines, watched his legacy dissolve in shareholder lawsuits and business journal exposés. DOJ investigation became case study material, precedent for pattern and practice claims nationwide. What the 73 families received compensation ranging from $200,000 to $800,000 depending on career damage and lost earnings. Jamal bought a house, started consulting. Lisa returned to Seattle as director-level hire. Darius spoke at conferences about surviving institutional violence and rebuilding. Marcus's new office occupied 5th floor corner space, nameplate gleaming, VP of Engineering Ethics. Maya visited after school one day, stood in the doorway staring like the room might vanish if she blinked. Daddy, you're really back? His voice broke on the answer. We're all back, sweetheart. Every single one. 6 months post-boardroom, Rebecca presented the initiative at company-wide assembly. Mandatory 50-hour weekly caps, 6-hour maximum overnight shifts, anonymous safety reporting with third-party investigation, federal monitoring for 10 years. Marcus took the podium, hundreds watching. This isn't just corporate policy, it's covenant, a promise that no engineer loses their career for speaking truth to power, that no family buries someone because profit mattered more than safety, that we build things right or we don't build them at all. A young black woman stood in back, voice trembling but strong. Mr. Thompson, my cousin is Jamal Harris. You gave him his life back. Thank you. Applause rolled through the room. The 73 scattered through the audience, reinstated or compensated, bearing witness to transformation. 8 months later, federal settlement finalized. $73 million distributed. The Thompson Stone Equity Framework adopted by 47 companies within 12 months, protecting over 200,000 workers. Washington State passed Andrews Law, mandatory discrimination complaint reporting with criminal penalties for institutional cover-up. Marcus consulted for 12 Fortune 500 companies. The framework spread like blueprint for rebuilding. The architecture of injustice dismantled brick by documented brick. 14 months after the boardroom, Maya stood on stage at regional robotics competition, judges circling her mechanical arm design. Marcus watched from third row, Rebecca beside him. Maya's voice carried across the auditorium, confident, clear, nothing like the ashamed 8-year-old at the school fence. I built this robotic arm with help from my dad, who's an engineer, and he taught me that building things means building them right for everyone, or you're just making something that'll break when people need it most. First place. Gold trophy. Maya ran through the crowd, jumped into her father's arms, gap-toothed grin blazing. We won! Did you see? We actually won! Rebecca wiped her eyes, smiling. Andrew would have loved watching you teach her, loved seeing the next generation learn from you. Marcus watched Maya examine her trophy with engineer's curiosity, already thinking about improvements. She asked me last night if Keisha would be proud of what we accomplished. What did you tell her? That her mother would be proud we turned grief into purpose instead of letting it turn us bitter. That we chose legacy over rage. Maya bounded back, trophy clutched tight. Can we put this in your office next to your VP plaque? Front and center, baby. Right where everyone can see what matters. That night, Marcus stood in his 5th-floor office, city lights below, Maya's trophy on his desk beside the framed roster of 73 names. The building hummed around him with systems he designed, returned to at last. People ask if I forgave them. I didn't. Forgiveness implies accident. This was architecture. 3 decades of calculated harm. But I chose something larger than vengeance. Chose to make sure Maya's generation builds things and keeps building. Their names on patents and projects, not on termination letters filed in boxes nobody thought to save. 73 names became 200,000 workers protected. 47 companies transformed. Andrew's law preventing the next cover-up. It's federal precedent changing how justice sees institutional discrimination. That's not redemption. That's resurrection. My daughter studies robotics engineering now, 16 years old, MIT bound. She builds things that matter, builds them right. And when people ask what her father does, she says, he fixes broken systems, starting with the one that tried to break him.